Hey, what is up, you guys? TITOBODS here, and it's been a while since I made a hero-oriented video. But in today's content, we're going to do just that. And as I promised, we're going to do now the new Warriors Archers with the new hero, Arslan. And I'm going to tell you what the build is all about. We are really lucky that someone from our server and one of our now friends was actually okay with us asking him for help to try this build out for himself, and in the process he can give us the infos and every detail that we can if this march is good or better than what he was using before. But before we do all that, don't forget to like the video, share this with your friends, and if you're new to the channel, you like this kind of content, or you play Age of Empires Mobile, please give us some love by subscribing, and also ring that bell so you will always be notified as soon as we have a new video just for you guys. We're going to talk about now first the new hero, Arslan. One of the most anticipated heroes for Season 6 because he was the one who was dubbed as the game changer for the Archer March, which I think it's safe to say that he did live up to his expectations. Now, let's talk about Arslan. Now, we have here the Earth Splitting Hoop, and this is actually a good skill for him. We have here applies the flee effect to the enemy troop. Now, this flee effect causes them to take might damage that ignores their defense for 25% when maxed, then damage rate of 40%. Now, this will also increase based on your might bonus. Now, if the enemy troop already has the flee state, which is if you are a commander, you will already have a flee state, so I'm going to explain that in a bit. Applied to your troop immediately settles the existing flee state. So that means this one will already cause the might damage, so it's going to start right away. After immediately settling the existing flee state up to one settlement for 3 seconds, and the settlement damage is increased by 15% plus might bonus. So that's actually one of the best additional things here is that 15% because it's going to be really good when you have the flee state. And this is actually not just a few damage. It's going to be a lot in total, especially when that damage ignores 25% of defense. So that's going to be a lot. Now, on the other hand, Earth Splitting Hoop cannot cause critical strike damage. So if you're using a critical strike hero for this, it's going to be no. And after each Splitting Hoop activation, reduces your troops' damage taken, which is good to be a little bit more tanky. And this stacks to 3 times. So it means you will get at least 5% and at max 15%. Now, for the customizable skills, I don't really want you guys to get other skills because this is the best that you have here. Now, first of all, we have the Valorous Reputation, if it's called that way. So this one deals my damage to the enemy group. The damage rate is actually 160% at max. Now, if the target in the flee state deals an additional instance of my damage, which means if this is your commander, and I will show you in a bit, but his commander skill also applies flee state. Now, this one deals an additional instance of might damage, which the damage rate is actually good with additional 120% plus another might bonus. If you combine those two right away, you will have 280% right off the bat plus might bonuses. Now, if the target isn't in the flee state, makes them flee right away. Now, dealing might damage that ignores 10% of defense every second. Now, this damage is actually 15% plus might bonus again, which is really good. And this 15% will happen every second for the next 6 seconds, which is going to be 90% extra damage on top of your 280%, which will make it 370% damage, if my math is correct. It is really good also that we have here the High Spirit. Now, let's say the High Spirit is 18% right now for the activation chance. Now, if you add that to your 30%, it's almost a 50%, which will be equivalent to just 48%, but it will almost activate every 2 attacks. So that's actually what's good about it. And if you add this one to the 65%, you will get 83%, which is a really high value for your activation chance. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's a really big activation. So it's almost every attack you are going to get your Earth Splitting Hoof activated. Now, if you don't like these skills, I don't know what to say. But for example, you are a free-to-play player or a low spender that is actually saving up for your legendary skills, and you only have one legendary skill to choose from, or that you can afford at the moment, choose Valorous Reputation, and then the other one should be Shield Slam. If I am going to be frank about it, this one is way better because of the damage rate, might bonus plus armor bonus. Now, if you are a bit cranky and you want to be a little bit tanky, you are going to for sure think of Bloodthirst because it has a heal that will give you a little bit survivability. Now, this one is another 25% chance activation and will give you another extra damage. Now, for me, I don't really like to have Bloodthirst on this hero, even if it is a support. For example, there are players that are going to use Arslan as not their primary hero. I can deal with that, no problem. But Bloodthirst on Arslan isn't really a good one for me. In my opinion, still, even if your Arslan is a support in the lineup, I'll make sure to give it a high spirit instead of Bloodthirst. And also, Fearless Strike is also a good one, but as you can see, 25% for the activation chances, and you will lower down your activation chances for your two other skills, which is the Valorous Reputation and your Earth Splitting Hoop, which will really get or benefit from the high spirit, which is a good thing. Now, for me, these two are the best recommendation that I really can give you for your Arslan. If you want more than that, then it's up to you. Now, next up is your War Lion's Roar, which, as I've said, is one of the important things about Arslan's value as a whole. Because War Lion's Roar deals might damage up to 3 enemy troops in a fan-shaped area in front, which are, I think, most of the heroes are actually having or does have that activation for the fan-shaped area. And this one deals 350% damage plus might bonus. And this applies right away the flee effect, as I've said, causing them to take might damage and ignores 30% defense, which is absolutely great. This one does do 25% ignores defense, but this with the skill or the commander skill, you will deal an extra 30% defense, which is actually way better. And then the damage rate is 50% per second for the 9 seconds. Now look at that damage. Now you're going to see how much damage this will deal as a commander versus your typical Mulan's Bellevue and your other archer commanders in the warrior archer lineups or hero pool. So this one will also give you 100 initial rage upon entering the battle, which is I think a requirement for me to be a commander, because that 100 rage is actually important because it will trigger quickly on the first activation, which will lead to a domino effect, dealing or activating all of his skills, except this one, of course. But for me, that is really a chain reaction right there. So hopefully you have understand how I analyze Arslan's skills. Now, with that said, before we proceed with today's video, here's a short word from our partner for today. What is up, fam? TITOBODS here.
Hi, Tito.
Are you a new spender in Age of Empires Mobile, or planning to make your very first purchase? Well then, you're in the right place at the right time. Eneba has teamed up with our channel to bring you some amazing deals. Now, if you're asking what is Eneba, well, don't worry, Anne's got you covered. Anne?
Pleasure, TITOBODS. Eneba is your go-to digital store for games, gift cards, game points, and top-ups. And with TITOBOD's special link, you can get up to 20% cash back on Age of Empires Mobile products, only on the marketplace.
You heard that right. So what are you waiting for? Start your Eneba journey right here with me, your geeky Tito, and have a lot of savings from here on out. And with that, TITOBODS out.
Eneba, the fastest-growing marketplace for gamers. Ahoo!
If you are not at 5-star yet, this is going to be the thing. Now, you will have just 20% of that. After each Earth Splitting Hoop reduces your troops damage taken by 5%. So, this will only have this effect at 5 stars. So, you will not get the 15% or 5 to 15% damage reduction when you are not at the 5-star level. Now, if you are on the 3-star though, you will get the increased Splitting Hoop activation chance by 10%, and when settling the flee state, increases damage by 15%. Now, let's face this, everyone. I want you guys to understand that even free-to-play players can actually 3-star a hero. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are, for example, in an archer main, for sure there is going to be always a way to 3-star a hero. Now, is Arslan a good 3-star hero? I would say yes, because you will still have that activation chance, which is good, and increase the damage by 15%. That is actually good. The only missing thing here is the 5% for each splitting hoop and reduction also of 5 to 15% for your defense. Before we proceed with the gems and everything else, I want you guys to have a look first on our build for the other hero. So we have here Mehmed and we have here Bellevue. For those of you guys who already know that we already have discussed these two heroes, so we're not going to discuss every single bit of info on them. But here, for example, Mehmed here, so his skills will actually heal the hero, make this lineup tanky as it can be, but as you can see here, after every 6 seconds, reduces your troops damage taken, or it increases the damage dealt by your troops active and secondary skills by 30%, which actually fits with Arslan because Arslan is an active skill user. Now, next up is Owl's Lament. For me, this is always a must. Now, next up is some players often are not using Peaceful Haven on this hero. And I am going to tell you guys the value of the Peaceful Haven is really, really good. It's for me the go-to. Every time you have a Peaceful Haven on a certain specific hero, for example, this guy, Mehmed, make sure you get the Peaceful Haven. Because 20% of damage reduction for 3 seconds is going to be really, really important. For example, you are always going to heal. So, for example, you have here Mehmed, right? So, you have every 6 seconds you recovers unit. And with that, you will have 20% almost permanently. You will have 20% of damage reduction. So that is really, really important. Way important than Bloodthirst. You don't really need damage on this hero. Way important than King's Blade. Do you really want to sacrifice your heroes guaranteed 20% extra defense versus a 46% chance to get 30% damage for your Arslan? You don't really need any more damage amplification on your Arslan with your other heroes because, honestly speaking, you really just need survivability. Especially for the archers, you really, really need survivability. So that's what I'm going for. Next up, we have Bellevue. So most players are not really going to use Bellevue in this lineup. I have seen a lot of other players using Mulan. And even Pretzel, he was also using a Mulan instead of a Bellevue in this lineup. And for me, honestly speaking, I really love Bellevue. Theoretically, I was thinking of Arslan, Mehmet, and Bellevue in my mind when I first hear about Arslan and seeing his skills in the teaser. Now, as I've said, I really love Bellevue because, first of all, you can do 2 builds with your Bellevue. Now, let's first understand why I love Bellevue. Now, Bellevue is a damage dealer. There's no doubt about that. Mulan is also a damage dealer. There's also no doubt about that. So here is her signature skill, the Black Tide, which there is a 75% chance to enter the double attack state for 3 seconds. Now, as I've said, 75% is actually 3 out of 4 attacks. This will happen. So, double attack state means you are going to have a chance to activate more of your skills. Now, also this one increases the hero's might by 150. 150. And this is almost a guarantee every time. So, for example, your Bellevue has 800. Let's say 850. Let's say 850. You reach that peak. You have 850 might plus 150. That's 1000 might, which is a monstrous number. Plus, you get to have double attack. That's a lot of damage if you are going to ask me. Now, this one also. As I've said, if you have a double attack state, now this is actually a high damage dealing skill or customizable skill. Now, next up with that is this skill. The weak spot will give you 30% of extra increase in hero's damage for 3 seconds also, which is actually a good thing. Now, as I've said, you also have another customizable skill here. There are actually 2 customizable skills here that you can actually debate on or argue on depending on your case. Now, we have here Pay in Blood and Dark Flag. Those are the 2 that I really want you to go for, not the Act of Mercy. I know the Act of Mercy is really good, especially for low spenders and free-to-play players because on its max, just level 40 without using your skills, you will already have 157 might damage. And this is actually a good thing. Plus 25% of activation chances is 1 in every 4, which is also good. But hear me out. Now, Pay in Blood, for others that doesn't know, gives you heal. Look at this. It gives you a recovery for your heroes. Now, this will make you even more tankier with Pay in Blood in mind. Now, for me, Dark Flag is a little bit of a gamble in this lineup. but hear me out. This one will actually amplify your Arslan's damage, which is the main damage dealer of this lineup. But don't let that fool you because Bellevue also deals a lot of damage. Not as much as Arslan is going to do, but still will do a lot of damage with that Pain Blood. Now, the only thing that will really intrigue you, like it did for me, is that this one reduced the armor of the enemy hero with the highest armor. For 6 seconds, your Arslan is going to have an extra 110 might damage plus your negative armor. Now, the only problem is you're going to have less heal because Pain Blood really gives you off that heal. And you really can't remove the weak spot for me, in my opinion, because it's the one of the highest damage that you can actually get from this because it has 370. Your Pain Blood also has 370, which if combined and activated at the same time is going to be a huge damage. Now, it's for me, this is a choice for you guys. Which do you prefer? More survivability or more damage? Now, if you're up against, if you're in the field running around and you are being chased by a Lubu, I think Pain Blood will give you a lot of survivability. You can tank the swarm unless there is a monstrous Lubu in the field. But for the Lubu that I think on your level, you are still going to survive a little bit and do some more damage on the other heroes. For sure, you are going to attack the swordsman. So that's for sure. That's what you're going to do, and you must do. But for me, I think the 5-star is really important here when you have Bellevue in mind. Because if you don't have this, you will still have the armor reduction. Not for the enemy, but for you. Your armor is going to be reduced when you use the Black Tide. And it's really good if you are max with this one because it will give you like 30 extra might. But the thing here is the good thing here is that you won't have to deal with the damage or the armor reduction for your own heroes. So that's actually it. But anyway, having said that, as I've said, the 3-star is already an assurance for even the free-to-play player. If you are using this lineup, or let's say the Archer Warriors as your main lineup, so I'm sure you are already going to have that one. Now, for those of you guys, as I've said, who doesn't have yet the skills here, honestly speaking, if you don't have Pain Blood, make sure you have first your weak spot, and then Armor Piercer is the next one. So if you happen to have only one legendary skill, you use your Armor Piercer and weak spot. So that's about it. But after that, make sure you get either Pain Blood or Dark Flag. So it depends on your playstyle. But for me, Pain Blood has more survivability in it, and the other one is a little bit more aggressive in the battlefield. So those are the builds of the skills and the hero combinations. Now, it's time for first, I'm going to show you the talents. So these are the talents for your Arslan. Bellevue.
For the faint of heart, but it's the only life for me.
I'm going to do a list of rings that's going to be available for you. Now, hopefully that is clear with you guys. Now, really and honestly speaking, the mounts are going to be different depending on your luck with RNG for the mounts. But for me, make sure that your hero Arslan and Bellevue has both damage mounts. And make sure that Mehmed has the defense horse. Prioritize, I think, the traits with the heal that will actually increase the heal of either Mehmed or the whole troop. Healing effectiveness, or and then secondary, if you don't have that, make sure you at least have a defensive traits like, let's say, the Iron Ridge or something like that that will give you defense. So make sure you have that. And now, since we're talking about mounts, let's go with the adornment. So honestly speaking, the adornments here that he have is the Shadow Chaser, which is actually going to be my recommendation because this one has a 65% chance to increase the hero's next skill damage by 10% in this level, which is absolutely great. 10% is absolutely great with a combination of your defense or defense reduction for your skills on Arslan is going to be a really huge damage for that hero. You can use another damage adornment here, another piercing arrow here on your Bellevue, but make sure you have a resistance. As you can see there, resistance is really good. For me, honestly, one hero with the damage adornment and then two heroes with the defense adornment is usually my go-to. As you can see here, resistance is a must for me. In my opinion, you must have two resistance in your lineup, especially in this one. If you have this lineup, make sure you have two resistance. Instead of the mutual aid for the other one, make sure you have resistance because that one stacks. You will have a better fights in the field, having better survivability. So that's actually what I have in mind. Now, if you only have one resistance, give it to Bellevue. If you have, make sure you have another defensive trait like the mutual aid and give it to Mehmed because the mutual aid will give you heal, increased heal, plus every time you heal, you will have a percentage of defense. So those are actually my recommendations for this one. I'm not going to talk about the other traits that's possible for them. Make sure you aim for those. Now, I think that's about it for this Arslan video guide, guys. So if I missed something on this video, please leave a comment down below on what I missed. And I really, really love to try this out myself again. It works well for the player that help us out, for Pretzi who helped us out in this video. And I really think that this one helps you guys out because I was really curious about this lineup before, and now that it's here, I really want you guys to really benefit on this lineup. Now, I really, really love that I have talked about this lineup with you guys because it's really, really a good one. For those of you guys who have been waiting for the Archer Warriors to have a significance in the battlefield, this is actually the best time for you to rejoice. And with this lineup, hopefully, you can bring your own marchers to the next level. Now, the best thing about the new archers here is you will have a lot of other possible combinations for you guys to try. That's actually the thing with a lot of heroes coming into the game. You will have choices. You will have to decide on which actually will benefit you more. But as I always say, make sure that the ones that you choose will actually be will actually fit your playstyle, number one, and will actually fit your current status in the game. With that, the question is now for you guys. What do you think about Arslan and the new meta for the Archer March? Are you using the same build as what I am recommending in this video? Or if you have way better experience on other builds for this, for the Archer March, please leave all your thoughts and your recommendations down below. And if you are going to use this lineup, please also leave me a comment down below that's saying that you are going to use this lineup in your future endeavors in Age of Empires Mobile and your future fights also. Now, having said that, hopefully I gain your likes for this one. Make sure you like the video, share it with your friends so that they are also going to see what we have been cooking for the Archer Warriors here for a while now. And hopefully, we can also help them out decide on their builds for this lineup or for this troops. Now, also, if you are new to the channel, you like this kind of content, and if you play Age of Empires Mobile, please give us love by subscribing. And especially if you watch the video and you liked it, please do so. Don't forget to ring the bell so you will always be notified soon as we have a new video like this just for you guys. And as always, have a great day to everyone. Hopefully you are having a good start for 2026. And this is your TITOBODS, and I will see you in the next one.